What is going on, guys and girls? How are you doing today? Single Roleplay here once again, and the first week of the Delirium League has passed, and I have a couple of thoughts on the league as a whole. I will talk about my specific builds later, but I just want to talk about one big problem within the league itself that I believe is absolutely not logical, especially considering the recent developer manifesto where they try to justify the league design as a whole. And my biggest problem within the league is not really the lags or the bugs. These all will be patched out sooner or later, just a matter of time till they patch all this shit out. My biggest problem is backtracking, and I created of course a whining Reddit thread of course for this, and I started gathering some upvotes because not only my problem, it's everyone's problem, because this is how the league is working. So when the developer manifesto showed up, what they said is just if you kind of feel that you are killing too much and getting too much loot, so basically install the loot filter and just gather something that is basically good for you, and stop gathering trash. This is what they told us, like, stop gathering trash, keep pushing, keep getting more rewards, and that's it. So they see no problem in the backtracking so far, but a lot of people have concerns that you literally have to progress all the way to the very end, because this is how it works. You need to push forward in order to keep the fog, in order to keep the timer, in order to get better rewards, so you can't really stop and gather loots. And what other people proposed is that all the loot drops at the end of the timer. The splinters getting sucked completely, like vacuum picked, but the rest of the loot just drops at the end of the encounter, just like the incursion temple, for example. We just, it just came out of the incursion and it drops for you. That's what people proposed, but surprisingly GGG have a different vision for that, because they feel like you should be picking loot, and literally you should be picking fucking loot. You should be stopping and picking loot, which is an absolutely unlogical thing for me personally, considering how fast we need to progress in order to get better rewards within the league. So what you see right here is the alleyways map, and unfortunately I had to backtrack all the way back into the beginning of the map in order to get all the splinters, some loots. And this is a pretty straightforward kind of linear map, I would say, but it's a lot of problems to actually do Delirium on this kind of map, because you actually have to go all the way to the very beginning to get the loot from the Delirium. And I think this is a rising problem, and this what will eventually kill the league as a whole, because it's just a clunky experience I believe for everyone. You just can't stop, you just can't afford to stop and pick up loot, because you need to keep pushing forward. This is how they patched it out in the previous patch, because now we have different layers of rewards. As we push further into the fog, we get different layers of rewards. In the bar down below, we get like not one but 2, 3 different layers of loots there. And in order to, if you just stop for a second and start picking, if you're not stop pushing forward to the fog, the timer starts ticking, and basically the fog ends and you drop the loot. You don't get a lot of rewards. You constantly need to push forward into the fog in order to get more loot, but you can't pick up because you have no time. You gotta push forward to get more loot. So this is kind of a completely failed logic to me. In order to get more loot, you need to push forward, but you can't pick up because you will die, or you're not getting loot if you just stop there. It's a bit of unlogical. How are we supposed to get more loot if you're not pushing? And at the same time, we can pick up loot, because if we pick it up, the timer keeps ticking, and we're not getting enough loot for us. So this backtracking problem, I think it's a big fucking problem right now in the game. And what I propose is the same as everyone else. Some minor currency like the splinters should be sucked in definitely as we go through this, and this is for those players who like an uber strict filters, and they don't really pick up alterations like 6 sockets. Probably they do not pick up as well. They don't pick up anything. They just pick up splinters and practically nothing else. For those players, I think that if we vacuum pick up splinters, it is fine. They will not backtrack a lot. But for the rest of the majority of the casual players who actually, you know, pick up different things like the rares and shit, we should just drop all the loot at the end of the timer. We should not stop and pick up during the encounter, because this is very deadly. You can't just stop and pick up loot during the Delirium fog phase, because, you know, there are like 50 monsters shooting at you, all kind of bullshit explodes. You just can't stop. At the same time, there's a big problem within the different encounters like the Syndicate, Zana, and, you know, beasts and all that shit. There's no delay, or kind of the game doesn't pause really when you are messing around with the Syndicate like this. So it always goes on, and you can't really mess out, you're wasting a lot of time messing around with the Syndicate as well. So there's many problems with the balance between the fog timers, the loot, and the way that the league is designed. I really hope they will kind of fix this, because if they won't fix up this balance between the timer, the loot that we get, and the backtracking, I think the league will definitely die very early. It will just not be fun to play in the long term. I know that a lot of people are already skipping the mirror, because they feel like, you know, not only it's too dangerous, but it will just kind of makes them run too fast for them, and the potential death or the rewards are not really worth it in the end. So there must be some kind of a balance between how the loot drops, how you run into the fog, and what you actually get out of this. So let me know in the comment section, guys, if you feel like backtracking is a problem of the league, if you're fine with it. How much do you pick up? Do you pick up like nothing, you don't really care? Do you interact with the Delirium as a whole? What do you think about this, guys? Thanks for watching, and see you next time.